Welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm kind of going to talk about the macro, a little bit of how I'm looking at the macro and why I took the shorts that I took last night on Phantom and Injective, and I'm still in a Phantom long at the moment. So we'll have a look at that. So let's have a look at the macro cycle, and let's have a look at why looking at the macro cycle is important. And I find this saying really useful, and it's this: chart the macro cycle and patterns so you don't succumb to lies, and remember that time is more important than price. Okay, so let's chart the macro cycle and any patterns. What I've got here is a chart, and it's the Bitcoin chart, okay? But it's the Bitcoin chart called the Bitcoin Liquid Index. Get this on your chart, BLX. The reason why this is important is because the BLX chart, it's an amalgamation of all of the exchanges, all of the top exchanges. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, if I was to click on this Bitcoin chart versus the dollar here, this is Binance's trading volume. This is all Binance's stuff, okay? But the other one here, which is still Bitcoin versus the dollar, this is Bitstamp's volume, okay? It's different. The prices might be slightly different as well, but the BLX is an amalgamation of them all. The only disadvantage to using the BLX chart is that it's a day late, okay? It's 24 hours prior, okay? So you don't get today's data, okay? But that's okay for the macro, all right? It's a much more accurate form of the data. So that's why I use the Bitcoin Liquid Index. Get that on your chart. So what are you looking at here? What are we looking at here on my chart? Well, what you're looking at is me charting the macro cycle. Let's start with what these red lines are. This red line is the top of the market all the way to the bottom of the market. Okay, if I zoom in here, you'll see what I mean, and scroll up. It's not on logarithmics. Okay, so the red is the top of the market all the way down. That's the bear market. All right, and I'm measuring the amount of time we were in a bear market from the top to the bottom. Okay, 413 days, roughly over a year. Okay, so from the green to the red here, you can see Bitcoin going up in dollar value all the way up. Okay, see it going up. That's the bull market. That lasts approximately 3 years, or 1,064 days. That's what I'm measuring here. So that's what the red is to the green going down, and the green to the red going up. Cool. Another thing I'm measuring here is the 50% level. Okay, it's using the fib retracement tool, this tool here. Okay, I'm just grabbing the top to the bottom, and it's dynamic as I move it. You can see the top to the bottom. And what I'm measuring specifically is the 50% level, so 50% in between these two data points, and also the 618 to 065. Okay, sorry, 0.618 to the 0.65. Why am I measuring those areas? W.D. Gant, a very famous trader, one of the most renowned traders in history, speaks of the importance of the 50% level, and you can see it even being respected here in this big downtrend here. You can see it drop down here, hit the 50% level, and carried on going down. So that's what I'm measuring, the 50% level from here to here. Okay, I'm measuring how quickly, or from the bottom, how long it took to get to the 50% level, how far it dropped from the 50% level, and how long that took. All right, that's what I'm measuring on this chart, and I've summarized it at the end. So let's have a look at that. So here it is here it is. All right, I'm just measuring these three periods in Bitcoin's market. Okay, you can see the bear lasted 413 days, bull 1064 days, roughly 3 years. You can even see in the second bull market here, all right, this main bull market that we've got here, I'm only charting 3 of them, is also 1,064 days, okay? When we were all bullish up here and thinking that Bitcoin's going to 100, 200K, like I was as well, if we had looked at the previous data, we would have known we should probably get the hell out, because we're coming up to 1064 days, exactly the same amount of time. It's unbelievable. This is why you chart the macro cycle and patterns so you don't succumb to lies. And remember that time is more important than price. Okay, that's why we do it. Let's have a look at the patterns though. Here's something interesting. Look at this bear market. Look at this bear market. Okay, now I'm measuring the swings here and I'm using these two indicators. I'm going to turn off the Gantt swings for now. I'm not going to leave the zigzags on. Okay, we're measuring the swings top to bottom. We went down, which is this line here, we went down for 77 days and we had a bounce for 63 days up. Okay, and I've charted this trend line since then. Okay, trend it all the way down. So before I knew what all of this data is, I charted this trend line. But 77 days down, 63 days up. 77 days down, 63 days up. Then we had 77 days down, but on this bar here was the FTX. In my eyes, this was a black swan. Okay, this is a black swan. All right, and it pushed the price down. The largest, probably one of the bearish crypto events in history, pushed the price down, but only by a little bit. Okay, that was hella bullish for me. That was really bullish for me. And the fact that we broke out of the trend and retested it was very interesting. So if you was purely a technical analysis person who only followed the charts and didn't follow the news, you would have looked at this and said, oh my gosh, we're having a breakout and we had a retest. That's the area to buy. And I bought some Bitcoin down here. I bought Bitcoin down here. I actually bought some Bitcoin here. And I bought some Bitcoin here on the 19K. Why did I buy on the 19K as well? Well, if you look at the logarithmic chart, if you was to draw that trend line like I did before, so I'm following this trend line, hit the tops here, hit the tops. If you was to draw that trend line, the logarithmic, that's where the breakout is and that's where the retest is. Okay, so that's actually quite interesting. So let's move back from there. Let's ignore that for now. So yeah, there's even patterns in the current cycle we're in. So I've charted this and that's the bull market going up. That's where we are here. That's where all of this data here. We've been in the bear 378 days. Bull market's in progress. Let's have a look at these drops here. Let's have a look at that. So if I chart that out, top to the bottom, that's 63 days. 63 days. What did it do again? Top to bottom, 63 days. There's patterns in every cycle. Chart the macro cycle and patterns so you don't succumb to lies, and remember that time is more important than price. Okay, so looking at this data, that's the reason why I sold at this area here. I sold some of my Bitcoin. Okay, I've got a portion of my Bitcoin and altcoins that are part of my trading portfolio. All right, part of it that I trade. Okay, and I sold some of that at the 50% and at the 618. All right, I sold some of my trading portfolio there, and that's where we are today. We're here. All right, so sold at 48,000. I sold some at 42, and I sold quite a bit at 46. So I've probably got an average of about 47.5% sold of my trading portfolio. But that's just me. Don't follow me. Don't follow me. I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, so what have I got here? This is just a measurement of what's happened in the past. 28% drop from the 50%. And that comes from the bear market that I had here. All right, that's what it did last time. It doesn't need to do the same thing, but it's a good guide. And if I've got it on my charts, I only hold myself accountable. That's the good thing about charting things. It's all a psychological game. And if you're just following people and doing what they say, you're always going to feel bitter about it. You're always going to feel bitter about it when you lose. All right. And I'm going to lose all the time, but at least I've only got myself to blame and myself to learn from. And that's the advantage here. Okay. It's a psychological game. All right. My goal is not to be a hero and to buy the bottom and sell the exact top. That's a hero's game. I'm not a hero. All I'm trying to do is take a big chunk out the middle. Okay? Quoting Jason Pizzino here. I'm just trying to take a chunk out the middle. I just want a large part of the middle and I'm out. And I'm out. So yeah, that's a bit about the macro. So let's now have a look at why I took those short-term trades that I showed earlier. So I'm going to go over to the Bitcoin chart. All right, Binance here. All right, it's currently on the weekly, but let's move it to the daily so we can see a bit more information. Here we are. So as you know, I was tracking this ascending triangle. All right, I was tracking this ascending triangle right here. Broke out, hit the target, took profits. Remember, that was the 50% and 618, which is why I took profits. The white line that I have here is the monthly swings, and the yellow is the weekly swings. That, combined with the fact that this was the 50% and 618, gave me huge amounts of confluence that this was a strong area of resistance, and it's good to sell. We had been going up for like 12 weeks straight up, and we had hit resistance. One of the things WD Gann speaks about is if you've got more than 7 bars in one direction, expect a trend reversal or at least some accumulation. So that's why it was a good area for me to sell. And it met the area of this ascending triangle. We had RSI divergence. What's RSI divergence? Well, price is going up. You can see it going up here, up here, up here. But the RSI, it's getting lower. So lower, lower, lower. The relative strength index, get that on your chart. Okay, it's going down lower. So that's what we're getting. Cool. So met that target, took profits, went down here. I bought a little bit, felt a bit of FOMO, bought a little bit on spot position, and also took out a leverage long as well, and rode it up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, 4 hour. Okay. So what we had here was a drop back in price, and that's obviously a bear flag. Came down, we've gone sideways, and then dropped again. All right. Now, why did I take the phantom trade? I look at Bitcoin first. Okay. I don't necessarily go to phantom straight away and have a look at it, or any altcoin that I'm leverage trading. What I like to do is look at Bitcoin first. All right. I like to have a look at Bitcoin and see what it's doing because it's king. What I saw was pretty much this drop, as I mentioned. Just going to delete that fib right there, and I'm going to draw it in again. So I looked at this drop here. All right. I know that it's going to come back up. Okay. We dropped pretty quick. It needs to at least have a retest. So what I did is from the top, clicked on my fib retracement, clicked on top. All right. And these zigzags really help. And so does the Gantt swings here. Get these on your chart. They're really good if you like the style of trading which I use. And grab my fib, top to the bottom. The bottom's right here, but I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. And you can see the 50% is respected, even on the 4 hour. If I was to change it to the daily, it looks a lot more neater. All right, you can see it's closed underneath the 50% and underneath this line here. Okay, that's the first thing I did. The 50%, I'm expecting it to come back to it, and it did. It did. My trade was based on a 1 hour chart though, and that's why there's a smaller fib retracement here. Okay, it's what I'm charting at the moment. But what I did is I drew that 50%. We're coming into resistance, high level of resistance. We're also getting bearish RSI divergence. You can see it here. Price is getting higher. RSI is getting lower. There's high volume on this particular bar. Stopping volume here as well. All right, it's stopping the price. We pushed a little higher. RSI divergence, and I'm watching it now. Okay, you can see it now having some confluence on the 618 as well right here. These are to be respected. The 50%, the 618, that's what I follow. And that's the 0618 to the 065. That's what I follow. Okay, so that's why I took that trade. And I'll continue to move my profits down here and move it down even more, and continue to do it and continue to follow it. But I'll share a bit more about that particular trade and others in other videos, because this video is getting long, very long. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that was really helpful. Leave your comments, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. Thanks. But remember, chart the macro cycle and patterns so you don't succumb to lies. And remember that time is more important than price. Peace.